Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the first discussion of Max and Axel. We are discussing we're reflecting monthly on our personal goals and our life, and we thought we want to share some of these insights with the world. Here we are. In this episode, we'll be discussing a book called Die with Zero, and also more broadly effective lifestyle design, because we feel like that's quite an important topic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the book Die with Zero, it was written by a guy called Bill Perkins. And I came across it on a podcast a couple of years ago. And the big idea is kind of, as you suspect from the title, it's about investing your wealth at kind of the right times rather than the traditional concept of waiting for retirement and sort of saving up all your money and then spending it at that point.
Yeah.
At that point in your life, you're probably going to be, well, you're obviously going to be older. You might not have as much energy, and you're not going to be able to
Hmm.
do everything you can when you're young. So there's this concept that you invest in things at the right times in your life for you to sort of make the most of your entire life and sort of planning ahead rather than I think we were talking about with our parents maybe that you do just wait until retirement and then you're maybe not taking that many breaks or
Hmm.
not having as interesting experiences when you're younger. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a brief summary.
Yeah. You recommended the book to me, and I got some really interesting insights out of it. I didn't read it completely, but I think I got the most important things out of it. And also, I think like the way he's writing, I think for personal development or for a way to live your life, I don't think it's really the end goal, because like most of what he's focusing on, he's saying, yeah, you shouldn't save up. Like really broadly speaking, he's saying you spend your money now rather than later, and give your money away now rather than later.
Mm.
um, but that's kind of based on the assumption that your happiness or your utility only comes from money, right? So there's some aspect missing, and I feel like my life is most fulfilling when I'm doing something that I find really meaningful. That's really that I'm really thinking, okay, this is really in line with whatever my purpose is, and I'm connected to people. So that whole part he's kind of like skipping out on. But in
Yeah.
Yeah, but in general, I definitely totally he changed kind of my way of thinking about some things, because I really came to see that um, 100 euros now is worth a lot more to me than 100 euros in 20 years,
Mm.
or even more than maybe 500 euros in the 20 years. Because like if you invest your 100 euros, it can, like with dividends, cumulative interest that you get on it, like it can really grow a lot. So that may want to want some, like, that may be a reason for you to want to invest your money and spend it later because you have more to spend. But yeah, it's just
Mm.
a lot more, like you're only in your 20s or 30s once. And yeah, the experiences you can have based on the money that you have are just going to be a lot better now. Like if you go on a world journey trip right now, it's going to give you more benefit than if you do it later. So it kind of changed my thinking a bit. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess with in the book, one thing he talks about a lot is I guess traditional experiences that people might want to do when they retire. He talks kind of about, a lot about holidays and travel, but I guess related to what you said, that can also be applied to your purpose or thinking about
Mm-hmm.
things you could experiment with. So we were talking earlier about the 4-hour work week, which we both of us said had an influence on our lives, but he talks more about you have these kind of mini retirements, which is sort of a bit linked to this book.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than just thinking, "Oh, I'll go and travel," you can choose to do anything that aligns with you. So that could be working on a business. It's still probably You're still probably going to get better returns in terms of working on a business when you're young and having that experience. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, when I started my business, I've had to do get familiar with loads of different areas, push myself out my comfort zone. You have to do marketing, sales,
Mm-hmm.
think about the finances. So he doesn't speak about that, but you could, I guess, apply it to anything, like any skill.
Mm.
I know Tim Ferriss in that book, he says a lot about like language, for example, or he does a lot of martial arts, but whatever it is,
Mm.
you apply this concept really. I
Mm.
guess it's just what you don't want to do is get in the trap where you're working your entire life
Yeah.
for money, and the worst case scenario, which I'm sure has happened to thousands of people, is where you kind of get an illness, you go downhill, and that sort of, you haven't done all those things you wanted to do on a
Mm-hmm.
bucket list, or you never even considered that at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So also what you're saying is that it's like kind of better to do things that you really want to do earlier rather than later. Like there's an extra return on your time. Let's say also.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And because we were talking about traveling, one thing he said quite often was that something like backpacking, even you do see those people who are older that are doing it, but the reality is like dragging around a
Yeah.
big backpack around, like being with lots of people who are out drinking or are a lot younger than you. Maybe if you're doing it when you're 40, like it can still work, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe you even I found that now I prefer to stay in Airbnbs. I didn't stay in that many hostels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink that much, so it's like
Yeah.
I don't at this stage, that's not as good. But maybe a few years before, I would have, like, hostels and moving
Mm-hmm.
about all the time would have been
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah.
just like how your experience changes. So don't wait until you're 70 to start wakeboarding or something, or go on like a huge
Yeah.
ski trip.
Yeah. That's
Even
true.
like you do a lot of hiking, so yeah, don't wait until you're that old for the hiking. Do the hiking.
No, no, that's true. Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying. You're already past the hostel age, so you're already past it. Yeah, like you cannot, yeah, you cannot do that anymore. Almost like so.
Yeah.
It's an
What about
example.
you? Do you think you're past that now? Hostel age?
Um, yeah, it kind of depends on the country. If I'm going to an expensive country, then I'll still go to a hostel. But if I go to somewhere that it's not so expensive, then I'll probably go yeah, just some like accommodation for myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
but also like investing in yourself in whatever way. It made me think that
Yeah.
like if I invest in a good coach right now or in good therapy, or invest in myself in with doing giving a lot of time for spiritual practice or for yeah for traveling and learning new things, then I have more time in my life where I can apply those new learned skills. So
Yeah.
that's why I think the earlier age is a good time to just to also do some things besides working, because like of course you want to develop professionally and with your business, but also there's always like there's many years for that. And I what I kind of thought was like I also have the plans to start a business, but what he kind of changed my idea about is that yeah, I mean I have such a long time. There's not necessarily I don't necessarily have to do that right now,
Mm.
and the kind of the idea that these traveling experiences, and yeah, just like investing in my own spiritual development, for example, with staying at a monastery for some longer time, is really going to be worthwhile, because I'll be able to apply whatever I learned. You know, like if I think back, if I could pay two times the of what it would cost me now to have some calls with a good coach, for me to have that call like now 6 years ago, I would totally do that, because I
Yeah,
would have learned so much. Like 6 years ago, I didn't really know that much about life as I do now. Like that would be totally worth it, So that kind of makes me think, okay, 6 years from now, I'll probably think the same way about how it is.
yeah, I definitely had that experience reading it. I was like, oh god, I've like wasted
Yeah,
my time on this planet.
yeah,
But there's always, I guess the way you have to look at it is just like stay focused on yourself
mm-hmm.
and yeah, not compare too much, because then I actually gave it to my parents, and
Mm.
for them, they might look back at it and think like, Max, what are you talking about? You've had all
Yeah,
these experiences, you've still got your whole life ahead of you, and
mm-hmm.
yeah, so that was something I definitely thought, and it actually, when I was thinking about going traveling for longer and like coming to Asia, it definitely, I think it was it was 6 months prior to that, and it kind of helped me leave my job, because I was just like, I basically thought, oh, I'd keep going with what I'm doing in the UK, and
Mm-hmm.
then if you meet someone, once you meet someone, it's always difficult to.
Yeah,
I guess if it's the right person, you want to stay with them, but then I
mm-hmm.
know from the past like how easy it is for something like that to limit you, and that's another thing he talks about actually, is the idea of responsibility. That
Mm.
will only increase in your life. So
Mm.
take the take the time to do things you really want when you have that freedom. And again, he says worry sort of less about money at that point.
Yeah,
Um,
mm-hmm.
he's also, I think, a multi-millionaire, so I'm sure it is maybe easier for him to speak like this, and there's maybe different realities for
Mm.
different people, but just that idea that you will likely, in most careers, you will earn more as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be at your like peak earning capacity when you're in your 20s.
Yeah,
So there's that to consider as well.
yeah, and he probably, I mean, he also has probably like a target audience in mind, right? I think his the target audience here is also, yeah, people that want to, uh, yeah, that are reading this book, so they are probably already. If you read a book like this, then you're also making already some money probably. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what is also really interesting is how much we like. He uses the example of a rat running in the rat wheel to get to the cheese, but at a certain
mm,
point he's eating the cheese, but he's still running in the rat wheel. So
yeah,
he kind of compares that to us, to people working all the time, because yeah, we have to make a living, of course. But then for a lot of people, like you can, yeah, you can cover your expenses, and yeah, but you're just so habituated to always be working all the time that you're not thinking of other things to do. I
mm,
think we start out with wanting like some certainty and a stable income, and yeah, for of course a job is usually the way to get that. But yeah, so it's so easy to fall in the habit of increasing your expenses, because yeah, you're just working all the time anyway, and you have the money, and then you're not really thinking about the other ways in which you could design your lifestyle. And I think, yeah, for a lot of people, and also for me, it's also kind of it's kind of scary also to start doing something else, to stop working and see what you want to do then. And I think that the financial freedom is a really important way um, to to focus on whatever is meaningful to you in your life. So there's an addition that I would have that I think he doesn't really. Well, he also discusses it in the book, but like in the way that you can spend time with friends and family, for example. But you can also use the financial freedom to do like pick a profession or do some work that doesn't necessarily make a lot of money in the beginning, but that is really meaningful to you. And I think that giving yourself creating some financial freedom is a really important way to get that to create that for yourself.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I think there's one thing I mean, slightly related to that was he talked about a woman. So yeah, he talks about the idea of giving your money away to, say, your
Mm.
kids or charity, whoever you want to give it away to.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people say they work their whole lives and they amass a big fortune. They
Mm-hmm.
then choose to give it away at the end of their life, which is fine. But if you give your kids, say when you're 60 or 50 or whenever, you give your kids money for their house,
Mm-hmm.
you then get to enjoy that house and share memories with them there, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed, he gave an example of a man or a woman who was giving money to charity
Mm-hmm.
and paying a small amount every year. I can't remember if it was tied to stocks and shares. And essentially, I think they gave millions away to charity in the end. But
Mm.
that only happened after they passed away. So
Oh, yeah.
they never got to see that. Rather than, is it better to put in a very small amount of money to do like a relatively small amount to a charity now, and then have that contribution and know you've helped them, have that memory of the contribution or the memory
Mm-hmm.
of your positive experience, rather than giving more, which objectively would help the situation more, but doesn't really matter if you're not feeling any satisfaction from that.
Mm.
It's
Yeah, and I think it has also to do like with the thing that if you give some money away to charity now, then like there is towards the future there will be more positive effect of it than compared to when you give it away in 50 years, for example, because yeah, the good in the world that you can have done with your money kind of attracts more good, and then you kind of uh, it's kind of it's kind of positive in that sense. And also, like if you're someone that wants to give the like has quite some money to give away, then it's always also wiser to give it away during your lifetime, because then you can see the impact of it and you can become a better investor, let's say, in charitable purposes. So, and definitely if you want to give your money away to your kids, then it's a lot better to do that better sooner than later, because if you give it away to them when you pass away and your kids are 60 or 55, yeah, then usually people already have like their capital has already grown quite a bit, and they don't get as much utility from it. Whereas when you're young, then you get
yes,
way more utility from your money. Yeah, that's I think that's probably the main thing, right? Like the main point is you have more utility from spending your money when you're younger compared to when you're older. Like if I have to summarize the book, that's probably
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but for me, I think it's for me it really contributed to making a different decision, because I wanted to yeah, continue working for a few months as a freelancer. But then I thought, okay, I've also been working already quite a bit the past years. I can also put what I really want to do on the first place, and put the working on the second place. Like I can always return to the Netherlands and continue doing that. So now I've planned an, world travel for a few months, and otherwise I may have continued working for some time. So I think that will definitely. So thanks for recommending the book to me. I yeah. Even though I also I found his like the way he's saying like you can. He was like kind of encouraging people to spend a lot of money on like activities like I don't know skydiving or I don't know booking a trip to Africa for $30,000 or something. I feel like it's kind of also not everyone can do that, right? That's also for small part of the population, and I feel like you don't get it really seemed like he thought that spending a lot of money, like if you spend $100,000, that it will give you a lot of utility or a lot of happiness. That like the way he's
Yeah, yeah,
writing about it in his book. That's one of the one things where I thought, okay, the point you're making is very very true, but spending $100,000 on a really expensive trip is not really going to bring you some happiness. So, but
yeah.
still very
That
insightful.
actually, yeah, it sort of goes to the other another creates another issue in that which we see definitely in the UK. You see a lot where people are thinking, yes, these experiences or these things, yes, I need to get them, but they invest in them when they don't have the money available. So I guess in terms of practical application, it's about getting to a place where you're sort
Yeah.
of debt free,
Hmm.
are able to build up a bit of saving, but you could do that just working a 9 to 5 job, for example,
Hmm.
and then you could go
Yeah.
away for a few months and come back. I heard about when I was in Indonesia, there's quite a few guys who work mines in Australia
Mm.
and work 2 weeks on,
Oh yeah.
2 weeks off. They get, I think, free like food and board
Mm.
when they're in mines. So
Mm.
it's like in terms of that, is quite a good way to live, really, in a way where you have. I guess it depends how you want to trade your time or how you want to live,
Mm.
but as like an alternative to having to start a business, which obviously brings more stress, but a 9 to 5 where these guys were doing 2 weeks, they get really good pay, and
Mm.
then they go to Indonesia and are surfing for 2 weeks with like zero responsibility.
Oh yeah.
Like a quite
Mm.
interesting way
Mm.
to live.
Yeah. But these guys were working in the mines, or you knew the people who were working in the mines?
Yeah, these guys I met were working in the mines
Oh
and
yeah.
doing this 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I would be a good miner, but but
I
I
feel
don't.
like they said it's not like proper mining. I mean,
Okay.
it's not as bad as it
It's not
sounds.
with the it's not with a pickaxe.
Yeah. No, no.
Okay. Oh, it's not okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but I think it's definitely like when you look at a lot of most people have like a few weeks of vacation every year, and I feel like if they would lower their expenses, they like a lot of people. I feel like spend money on things that aren't really that much necessary, like stuff and even like the way you planned your trip, right? Like so many people get an expensive plane ticket to go to the other side of the world for a week or for 10 days, right? Like
Yeah,
you've already made the like one third of your expense for the vacation on the ticket or the half maybe even, and then why don't you stay longer, right? And I think that has also kind of to do that. um it's kind of um there's also a kind of emptiness left behind when you're not busy with working all the time. So you have to. It's really important to find something to fill the emptiness, to fill the void after stop working. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah.
is that if you say like read this book and thought, yeah, I need to kind of take that trip.
Mm,
Is that not making the most of that time by having something to focus on it? Is that what you mean?
mm. How do you mean exactly?
So, you said if you're going away,
Hmm. Yeah.
you're then looking for. it's
Yeah,
good to have something all the time. Is
yeah,
that on like a trip like this? You
yeah,
mean?
exactly. Yeah, to have something to fill the time, like, and yeah, because I think for a lot of people, making maybe filling 2 months of time without working is maybe hard. Like, the thing is that you still have to keep challenging yourself and still have to keep learning without necessarily working. But for a lot of people, the pressure of work is the thing that, like, with if they don't have it, then it's kind of hard for them to yeah to keep some goal, because I think without any goal or any activity to do, like reading or writing or continuing developing yourself, learning new skills, if you don't have that, then 2 months without work probably isn't really the most fun experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
you
If you just have too much free time,
hmm
kind of up in your head quite easily, then yeah, that's
yeah,
not the best.
yeah, like
I
yeah,
had that a little bit
mm,
last year, as I've sort of spoken to you about, where
mm,
I'd, I'd gone away, but I wasn't working as much as I was previously, and I still had like a steady income. But that was a nice challenge in a way, in terms of you get a chance to answer that question, and maybe you don't answer it on one time
mm-hmm,
away, but it's
mm-hmm,
good to have that opportunity to figure out what keeps you going, like what satisfies you, what you find meaningful.
mm-hmm.
A lot of people get to the end of their lives, and work has been like the driving force. It's nice, obviously, to have that routine, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
some people like kind of thrive on the retirement, and maybe you have that difficult period at the start where you're not sure exactly what you are doing,
Mm-hmm.
but then you by giving yourself that chance to slow down, you understand what you like, which is
Yeah.
probably getting more into the 4 hour work week, because
Yeah.
that's a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And I think that's why the idea of mini retirements makes a lot more sense than, like, why would you save 20 years of not working for the end of your life, right? Like, you're it's not like when you're 67 that you then think, oh, now I don't want to do anything anymore, like just like one day it all changes. Of course not. Like, it makes a lot more sense to have this time off throughout the chunks of your life, and then you're also more rested, and you take care of your health maybe better, so that you can even keep working after you're 67. I don't know how it is for you, but I wouldn't really see myself having a period in my life when I'm, let's say, 67, and then I stop with everything. So I was first when I was thinking about financial independence, I was also like kind of drawn to the FIRE movement, like financial independent, retire early. But I don't think it's really the best way to look at it, because yeah, then you just don't have to work. But usually you will have been working 5 to 15 years. Let's just say like that, something like that, and usually you've been working quite hard, and you've also yeah, thrown a bit of your life away there, right? Like maybe doing something you don't necessarily like to do the most. So yeah, just taking more time off, and I've found that taking time off is really yeah, it's really good, and I learned a lot from it as well. It's very insightful.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. There's those different kind of like life paths you can take. So
yeah.
there's like nine to five, like standard work, where it's like quite steady. You might have someone who works in the UK or Europe. They come to Asia, they're more like a freelancer and have like a relaxed business. Or people kind of might think more like, I guess there's like the fire side, which I think is like a lot of like hustle and really hard work, but it's more about being careful with your money, which I don't love that concept. Or you kind of like build a business, and that I think yes, you're going to need to put in a lot of work if you're building an actual business,
Mm-hmm.
but like the rewards and that can be really life changing. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
I dislike I didn't know loads about the fire movement, but kind of that idea of I can't have a coffee out, and you have to kind of like.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening to this first discussion of ours. I hope you all find it insightful, and see you next time.
You guys see.